And
Okay.
all right, remember, you have 10 minutes. I have the official timer here. And I'm going to give you the little smiley face at 9 minutes. And then I'm going to cut you off at 10, okay?
Okay.
All right, thanks again for being here. And go.
All right. Well, thank you for organizing this, which is how many of you enjoy hearing the word, good job. You're amazing. This is the best. I don't know about you, but I love getting praise about whatever I do. And I know a lot of my students also enjoy getting praise. And I think a lot of people in general like to feel, get that affirmation to work. So my name's Susan Gong, and today I just want to talk a little bit about praise and some alternatives to praise we can use in the classroom. So first, what is praise? According to Merriam-Webster Dictionary, it's to express approval of someone or something, or to express a favorable judgment of. And I put those two definitions in boxes because they're more specific to the classroom context. So there are many reasons teachers praise their students, and I think that all of these show a teacher's good intention most of the time. It's for motivation, for affirmation, maybe to reinforce good behavior, especially with younger learners, to create rapport, and also to balance criticism of work. If we return an essay to a student and it's full of red, motivating. So sometimes we use praise to make sure the student isn't completely depressed for getting their feedback. But praise can also be harmful in the long run. And in Alfie Kahn's article, 5 Reasons to Stop Saying Good Job, he mentions that when people are hearing praise from an early age, it creates praise junkies. Okay, so when we're little, our parents begin with, oh, good job, you can do it. And so it makes us dependent on hearing this praise. Also, we're telling us how they should feel about the work instead of them coming to their own conclusions. So when we praise someone, it's like saying, let me tell you about you. And so where do we get the authority to do that? Also undermines independence. And so instead of a student saying, I did it, instead they might look to the teacher and say, is this correct? Did I do it? So for me, I'm very focused on creating self-directed learners, people who have developed the inner criteria according to the silent way. And so by doing that, we need to let the students develop their own criteria instead of us telling them constantly that they're doing okay. And also, Kahn mentions that it's manipulative. If we're using praise to reinforce good behavior, basically we're giving them this for our own convenience. And that's what he meant by that. There is one more reason. I only put 4 of his 5 reasons. You can read his article to find out the other one. This is a quote from Marshall Rosenberg from his book, Nonviolent Communication. Praise and compliments are life alienating when done in a way that establishes the speaker as someone who sits in judgment. And so praise and compliments, even though they are positive and we have good intentions when we do it, it's still a judgment. Whenever you judge someone, you're creating a barrier between you and that person that blocks honest communication. This is from a study done by Ruth Butler. She says that nonspecific praise undermines interest in performance because the task is no longer relevant to establishing one's capacity. So when we give someone very general feedback, a very nonspecific praise, we're not really giving them any good or useful feedback about their work. When people hear praise all the time. You're not evaluating their work or their improvement, you're just really evaluating them or their ego. And so I think that's important to separate between their work or effort and their ability. She also mentions that when you use praise a lot, students will do work just to keep their status in the class. So if it's a student who started out with high ability, they're motivated to work to keep their status as a high ability student. They're not motivated because of the work, more for their social comparison. Also, students are sensitive to failure, and they're unwilling to experiment. They don't want to hear, ooh, that's not a good job. And so they might, like right now in my class, I'm trying to get my students to experiment more with sentence variety. And so I need to be very specific with what I tell them. Otherwise, they're not going to experiment if they're just depending on praise to motivate them. So these are some examples of various types of feedback students might hear. Of course, this doesn't represent all types of feedback, but in the purple bubble, you see the very general praise. And I want you to look at these, read them, and see which one would be the most useful for you if you were a student in this class. In the pink one, we have, again, very non-specific criticism, which is just as bad as non-specific praise. And I remember when I was in 11th grade English, and I got my paper back, and I had a B, and I read through all of my teacher's comments, and I didn't see anything really negative. So I was wondering, why is this a B? This is very uncertain. And so I went to her and I asked her, what can I do to make this better? Why isn't this an A? And I'll always remember she looked at me and said, well, Susan, this just isn't good enough. And so that made me furious because, well, one, I was an overachiever, but also it created this great uncertainty inside me. I had a need for clarity, and it wasn't being met. And so, well, it made me angry, and it didn't give me any information how I could improve. And so I just figured, oh, I'm just not a student. And so this kind of feedback is not motivational for students. I think just as bad as the blue box, okay, you finished, thank you. And I try and keep it neutral and maybe not offer any positive or negative feedback. And then it's in green. Let me start up my camera again. Specific, and it tells the student that have improved and what they need to do to improve even more in the future. So a lot of people have written about alternatives to general praise. These are just some of them, if you're interested in looking them up. I'm going to look at 3 of these. Encouragement, formative feedback, and appreciation. These are our ways we can give students that specific feedback in a timely manner and still motivate them and show them that we care and we appreciate their work. So encouragement and formative feedback, they're both not focused on evaluating the work. Encouragement is focusing on improvement, and we're giving them a positive acknowledgement. Oh, by the way, the citation, Hitz and Driscoll, that should be at the bottom of the box because all these bullet points are attributed to them, but I put it there for some reason. Also, this avoids comparison, and it doesn't place judgment on the student. Same with formative feedback. Running out of time. Appreciation, this is a way we can express that we're grateful or appreciate the effort of the student. And so you can read more about that later. In summary, compliments and general praise are judgments, even though we have good intentions. And when we're giving feedback in class, we want to remember to acknowledge the student's effort And we also need specific, because uncertainty is not good for student motivation. Also, we need to focus on their effort and not ability. Focus on improvement, and we should encourage. If you have any questions, email me. There's some references to look up to. So thank you.
Great. You almost did it. 10 minutes is not easy, is it?
Yeah, I know. There's a lot to it. Plus, I'm looking at my own counter, and I'm like, oh, getting nervous.
Well, it's normal. Don't worry about it. No, that was great, Susie. I appreciate it. And let me just try to clean this up a little bit. Well, really thank you, and I wish you luck there in Ecuador. I'm jealous.
Thank you. Thanks for organizing this and including me.
Well, we hope to have you for more of the regular ones, too, coming up in the future. But we'll be talking. Don't worry. Okay?
Great.